Coming from a non-profit background, I wanted to switch to a tech role. And everyone who knew my profile and looked at my resume, they said, with these kind of skills, you will not be able to do that. And you know what? I made the switch, irrespective of what I was told. And it starts with a mindset shift. I speak about this a lot, but this can make or break things for you. And when I talk about mindset shift, I am a kind of a person who is really mad when it comes to what I want. I do not listen to anyone and everyone. Even if I listen to them, I do what I have to do. And that's the first step. You really need to nail that mindset where you filter out the noise really smartly. Do not listen to everything and anything that's available out there on the internet or around you that you're told, because if you get lost in that process of listening to other people's advice, you will start doubting yourself, and that's where we do not want to enter. If you really want to make changes, the first thing that you cannot do and should not do is doubt yourself. Second, really get down to that understanding of what is something that you can do and what is something that you cannot do, absolutely cannot do. For example, for me, when I was transitioning to the tech role, I understood that at the very beginning I would not be able to write codes because I do not come from computer science background. So that is something that I would park for later. Another thing that I did not want to do was take up a non-tech role in a tech company. What I really was clear on was that I really want something at the intersection of tech and client-facing work. That is something that I really wanted to nail. So that marks the second point. Third is your interest area. I used to initially believe that, okay, you might not be interested in something that you want to do, but I was wrong, because if you want this transition to happen, you need to be interested in something before committing to it, because it's a long journey of learning, failing, and then actually the transition to happen and then making it sustainable. So you really need to have some interest in doing what you want to. It cannot be superficial reasons that, oh, I want more money, so I want to transition. That's a good reason, but if you're transitioning from a very non-related field, it will be difficult for you to continue. And for me, this transition in that sense was clear because I knew that I wanted to learn and be good at no code tools, and I already had some experience of dabbling with it as a hobby. But what helped me was not listening to a lot of people who did not do what I wanted to do, because there were a lot of people who tried to talk me out of it and tried to, according to them, put a lot of sense in my head, that a non-technical role in a tech company would suit me and would be an easier transition. But they really did not understand how I was looking at it. It was not that I wanted a change, I wanted to grow. And I felt like my mind was not growing, and I really wanted something challenging, but at the same time, something that was of interest to me, something that I can do and I want to do sustainably, at least for some years. So that's something that I did, because a lot of people in the same field, they would look at your resume or even your skills or your experience from a very traditional lens, and it is sometimes difficult to explain them that the skills are transferable, and there are people who can learn things faster and quicker and better than a lot of people who are in the traditional path as well. So that's the mindset shift that I had when I wanted to transition from one industry to another. Now, the second problem is, now you know what you want to do, what you don't want to do, what your interest areas are, but how do you start and where do you start? That's a big problem to solve for. And for me, even before you go to that, you really need to understand what is your learning style. So for me, that came very easily because I have been an educator in the past. So I understand how this works and what are the different kind of learning styles and what works for me and what does not work for me. For example, I am somebody who likes to throw myself into the deep end and learn things by doing. I really like to get my hands dirty at a project, at a very application based project, and learn backwards. So I build projects and then I understand the theory behind the project. So that's how I learn. For example, if I am somebody who learn things by doing, and if I start watching videos of people teaching me the theory first, like how a lot of curriculums and a lot of even videos are designed, then I will fail, and I probably will feel that this is not for me and I cannot do it. Instead, if I know this, that this is how I learn, I would actually go to people who teach me the way I learn, or I'll find resources that would help me learn better and faster than the wrong kind of resources for me. So that's the first thing. Now, how I approached this when I was doing this transition was, I had a bit of an experience dabbling with Notion, and I was using Notion at that point, like how everyone was, for personal use. So I was writing my brain dumps, I was just writing notes, meeting notes, all of that. But I started looking at YouTube videos where people were building stuff using Notion. At that point, I realized that okay, there are things that you can do with this tool, but whatever was available on the internet was more towards building templates or using it better for productivity for your own personal use, and that is something that I was already aware of. So my quest was, now there is a tool that I'm interested in. I'm sure the tool is made with something in mind, that it can solve a problem. A lot of people were using it for personal use, which is one kind of a problem, but there would be some bigger problem for the companies as well that this tool can solve. So I started searching for problems, and I realized that okay, a lot of small companies find it difficult to have their data arranged in one place. So can I build that? So I looked up resources on Notion's website, and there were few YouTubers who were actually teaching how to build complex databases using Notion, and how you can pull a lot of analytics via Notion databases. So there was a lot going on during that time, and that became my first project, where I actually ended up building um, a sort of a mock CRM and a workspace for an entire company. So if there's a company, they can have all their department information. Each department can enter into Notion and have their own specific space where they can track their own data, they can have their documents, they can have everything in one space. And as a CEO, you would be able to look at all the departments, their health, all the analytics, all of that. So it was a huge system that I built through Notion, and I realized, wow, okay, there's so much possible. And also, it made me realize how interested I was in learning all of this, in making all of this. And like I said first, I understood my process of learning and building things, and I learned by building, and that's what I did. I built this entire thing, and later backtracked to understand how databases work, how Notion workspaces work, how security sharing, all of that works in Notion. So instead of understanding this via reading documents and then building, so, yes, it does require a lot of breaking, a lot of failure, a lot of experimentation, but it works. It works brilliantly for me. So, that's the first thing that I did. Now, this quest led me to then learn Figma. I created a lot of mock portfolios for UX UI design, even though I wasn't pursuing UX UI design, but I was really into tech products, and I really wanted to understand how things work on the UX UI side. So that's how I figured Figma out. And I found Salesforce, and I did the same thing. They provide you a lot of free resources. You can have your own dev org where you can actually build stuff, actual stuff. I found a lot of use cases on the internet, and I actually built like a lot of mock projects on Salesforce, and that eventually led me to transition to Salesforce consulting, and I worked as a Salesforce consultant for a lot of organizations, a lot of good worldwide organizations. And then I realized I was not wrong. This transition is possible, this transition was possible. It's just that you need the time to understand all of this. You need the will and the conviction that this is possible. You need the ability to not listen to random people around you or on the internet. You need to find the right tribe who are building stuff, like who are making things happen, and I'm not telling you this is not possible, that is not possible, because it is possible. I have done it. If people like me can do it, so can anyone else. And if you want to transition from a non tech to a tech field, just pick up one tool. You do not need to understand everything at once. Just build something using that. It does not have to be perfect, it does not have to be even good, it does not even have to work. Even if you fail, just try and get your hands dirty, and you will realize what is something that can happen, what is something that you are interested in, what is something that you really like, and what is something that you really want to do. You never know what might stick, especially in the time of AI. There are so many tools that you can learn and understand, and it's a whole new world in itself. And by no means I'm saying start learning tools and things will change magically. No, I'm just saying it's the easiest step to this world that exists out there. Take the first step, there's no harm. And in the comments below, write one tool that you would want to start experimenting with. I would love to hear, and also see if there are new tools that I don't know about and would want to learn as well.